Hi, writers. Today we are going to be working on a writing lesson all about elaborating and explaining with those supporting details. I think that this is the part of writing that I feel like most writers need the most help with. So I want you to really practice, put your best foot forward, and try your best here because. Um, I'm going to ask you to really go for it. This is our last writing piece of the year with all the remote learning. So I really, really, really want you to do your very best and push yourself to try some new things. Do not give me the bare minimum. Try things you've not tried before. If you want to grow in writing this year, you have to take chances. You have to try new things. You can't be afraid. The cool thing about writing is that see this little eraser right here, this little eraser. It was invented for a reason because people are human and we make mistakes. In writing, I make mistakes all the time, all the time. But the thing I'm proud about with my writing is I'm going to try something. So today I'm going to jump into learning how to write supporting details. In the peel that we learned, it is the second part, which is the explaining. Now, a lot of kids, what they do is they just explain their evidence, but that's not what we're doing here. It's a little bit more than that. So I love this quote that I found. It says, "My words sound better from my hands than from my mouth." And that's what writing's all about is how can you write it better than how you could say it? The reason why I think explaining is so important to writing is where I get to see your personality. When you think about essays, if you only see like text evidence, that's just not really showing me the writer. So when I see the explaining, I know that's coming from your heart or your head, and it's your thinking, your opinions, your feelings, your emotions, your analysis. It's your style, it's your creativity, it's you, it's how you say something. So, this is the part where if you are funny and you think that it would be appropriate and it fits the tone, you should try to sneak that in. If you have like a high level of thinking and you're always questioning things, you should show that. If you're very creative and you can write beautiful description and imagery and figurative language and you like doing that, you need to embed that in your nonfiction. Okay. All right. So adding in strong explanations and text evidence, what it does is it gives us your unique voice. Basically, it's your personality in your writing. So explaining is a chance to be creative. So I want you guys to really think of nonfiction not as something boring or lame or it's got this like prescribed formula. This is a chance for you to really go for it and be creative and kind of unique. You can add in lots of author's craft techniques when you explain. And like I said before, you can be creative in nonfiction. You can even have beautiful writing in nonfiction. Do not just save like poetic language and description and imagery and figurative language just for fiction or poetry. It can be in nonfiction for sure. Okay. Ask yourself different questions and answers because guess what? You could use that as your explanation. And everyone can do that. Don't tell me you can't do that. Everyone can do that. Try to mix up the different types. What I always see in writing, especially in fifth grade, are kids who just do the same old, same old. I call them the one trick pony, the pony who just does the same trick, like raise your hand. That's all they know how to do. You don't want to be that one trick pony. You want to know how to do lots of different cool things. Okay. So if I teach you like a couple of different ways to explain, I'd love for you to dabble and try this and try that and try that because you don't know what you're good at until you keep trying, right? And you know that just from your own life experience. Like there's foods you probably maybe tried 0 times and you don't know what you're missing. And there's a couple of foods that you might have tried once and then tried again and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I love this." So in writing, you won't know what is good for you or your style until you try it. And you have to try it more than once to feel like you got this. Also, it really helps the reader because I love reading things that are making me not bored. And when you have explanations that are different types, it makes it so fun to read and interesting. And I'm not like yawning. So please don't make me yawn. Um, This is also a chance for you to expand and add even more thinking to your ideas or fully explain the reason. Another way, or another thought I wanted you to have is just have fun with it. Pretend like it's like a puzzle that you have to put together. And how can I creatively explain and elaborate on my thoughts? Now, here's what I'm going to suggest. And this is, I'm require, sorry, not suggest. Every explaining part needs to be a minimum of 2 sentences, but I'm sorry, I even think that's kind of low, but we're going to start there. If you can do 2 sentences, great. Let's have those 2 sentences. You're going to start there. Okay. But for those of you who are looking for a writing challenge, go for 3, go for 4. You can do it. Now, I'm going to be talking about double stuff and mega stuff. What that means is in within one paragraph, and I'm looking at all your explanations, if I see about 5 to 6, you've probably double stuffed it. Okay. And fifth graders absolutely can and should be able to do this. Okay. Unless you're like a beginning kind of writer where maybe you weren't really doing so hot in writing in fourth grade and third grade, and this is kind of like the first time, then you may not be able to double stuff just yet, but you probably will when you get to the next grade. But that is our goal. Our goal is every writer is going to try to double stuff. Now, my high level writers, I have a bunch of you in here. I expect you to mega stuff. What that means is you are really pushing yourself to elaborate, add details. I want 7 or more sentences of explanation in one reason body. But what that means is that your paragraph for your reason paragraph is going to be pretty big. So you're going to have to split it. It'll still be the same reason. You'll just have to split it. But there are some of you who could absolutely do that challenge. Okay. Let's go to the different ways to explain. Okay. Okay. So what we're going to do here is talk about ways that you can explain a little bit more. Okay. So obviously, these 2 things up here are something that you can do. Okay. Which is interpreting and re explaining the evidence in your own words. Only if the evidence is complicated. I do not like it when writers insult the reader's intelligence and there's like a simple piece of evidence, but then you're explaining is that you're telling me about the evidence again when I am smart enough to read that and figure it out. Now, I do think you should explain the evidence when it's really complicated text evidence, like really hard math or statistics that I really probably don't get or understand, or something scientific that's super technical. Then I think explaining it and in a different way is important. But that shouldn't be all you do. Okay. Make sure that when you're explaining, you are connecting it to that reason. All right. I'm going to show you all the cool ways you can explain. You probably, when you are writing, you need to have this slide next to you in a new window. If you know how to make a new window, you just go to File, New Window, and then you can have 2 windows side by side instead of 2 tabs. It's another cool way to split your screen. Just a fun tech tip. You're welcome. All right, here we go. So these are some ways to explain more and double stuff. Okay. You can make a connection to your everyday life. You could start with, from my personal experience, or if it didn't happen to you, you could say, someone I know. Guys, I'm not going to lie here, but I may have been known to make up a little tiny story. And I may have said someone I know just to kind of prove my case a little bit. But if you have a personal story or know someone, this is a cool way to start. You could explain the effect of something as a great way to explain, like, this greatly affects blank. All right. You could explain the importance. This debate or this topic is important because blank. You could add in some cool comparisons with figurative language, like make a simile or a metaphor, compare your topic or the issue or the reason with something else in life, okay, that people would get. Add in some cool personification or hyperboles. Remember, personification means taking something that's not human and making it have a human quality. For example, like the air sings, the pencil hums, or something like that. Hyperbole is just like crazy exaggeration, like over the top, like she exploded with anger or something like that. Okay, this is a cool way to explain. Give us a scenario, like give us a scene. Imagine if, everyone can kind of create a scene that would make the reader kind of really think. Another cool thing I like to do sometimes is a short story or an anecdote. An anecdote's just a really short story, just a couple of sentences that helps the reader to understand. It's similar to a connection in a way, but more like narrative like, story like. You could add in rhetorical questions. Rhetorical questions are those like high level questions that make you think. Okay, so if it's not making the reader think, then it's not really worth your time to write it. Okay, I do think it's important to have the answer too, because then you're helping the reader make that decision. All right. Of course, I would love your opinions and comments. In my personal opinion, or I believe, and then lastly, share your strong feelings. I strongly feel. Now, do not tell me you can't do some of this. Okay. You absolutely can do some of this. You just need to try. Now, can you try a couple of these? Absolutely. Could you try like 2 sentences of just this one? Absolutely. That all counts. If you do that, you're on your way to double stuffing your paragraph. All right, I'm going to show you this example. This is from the Chocolate Milk Mentor text. I color coded it for you. The orange is your topic sentence, the blue is your text evidence, the green is your explain, and the purple is the conclusion. Okay, we're going to focus mostly on our explain. I want you to start thinking about what did this writer do? Which one of these ways is the writer explaining? Is it a connection? Is it a comparison? Is it an anecdote, a scenario, stuff like that? All right, so I color coded it already, but I'm just going to read the blue, which is the evidence, and the green, and then I want to see if you can figure out what each is. Here we go. So, text evidence. By the way, she did not cite the text evidence. Like, I don't know the source, so that's something she could improve on for next time. So, chocolate and other flavored milks contain just as much calcium, protein, vitamin D, and many other vitamins and minerals as plain milk. The only difference is flavored milk tastes better. So, she's citing all the vitamins. She did forget her source, though. So, make sure you don't forget that. But here is the explain. She says, and I'm going to go to the next slide actually. No, I'm not, because I want to see if you can do it. It says, without chocolate milk, your child or someone you love dearly could fall behind in growth because of calcium deficiency. Whoa. Which one of these did she try right there? She said, without chocolate milk, right? Is it a connection? Is it an effect? Kind of. But what she really did there is she kind of said a scenario. Imagine if, but instead of imagine, she says, what if chocolate milk wasn't there? So it could be imagine if or what if. Okay. So that's what if without chocolate milk, this would happen, kind of like a cause and effect. Calcium is the rock to young children, even if they don't know it. And without it, they could fall behind. Calcium is the rock to young children. On this list, what kind of explanation did she try? Write it down or shout it out at the screen. Okay, if you said figurative language and a metaphor, you are awesome and you remember all your writing skills. Give yourself a quick high five. And I'm going to give you a high five through the camera. Hold on, there's the camera. Boom. Good job. Okay, see if you can do the next one. Okay, so I'm going to read the evidence again, and then here is the explain. We're going to try this again, see if you can do it. All right, Lauren Hummel, District 211 Director of Food Services, says that both flavored and unflavored milk offer students a good source of calcium and other essential nutrients that teenagers are often lacking in their diets. Okay, so that's her text evidence. Now, what kind of explaining is she doing right here? The facts don't lie. The facts don't lie. What is she saying right there? Now, that is not really a connection. It's not an impact. That is just her putting her personality. And this writer was exactly like that. She would talk like that. So I love that she put her personality and her voice into this piece because when I read this paper, it is her. And that's what I want to see when I read your paper. I want to go, oh, that is such as Johnny's piece. That is Barbie's piece. That is Susie's piece. Sorry, Susie, I use you in all my examples. But right there, she just gave us her opinion or her little comment. Here's another one. The effects of a school, much less a world without chocolate milk, are endless. Okay, what is she doing there? The effects, obviously it's an effect, right? But she's such a savvy writer. She did an effect and she did something else. I'm going to pause and see if you can figure it out. Okay. It says, I'll read it. I'll read the part that you should notice. Much less a world without chocolate milk are endless. What did she try there? I will give you a hint. Another one. It's a type of figurative language. Okay. What did you say? Okay. Did you say hyperbole? If you did, give me a high five again. Boom. Good job. She's exaggerating. It's endless. Like, come on, it's not endless, right? She's just exaggerating so the reader like really feels it, right? They're also negative. Okay, just her opinion, her comment. Children without strong bones or healthy bodies? This is outrageously insane. Okay, right there. She kind of made that statement into like a question and her answer, but her answer had some really strong slanted language that shows us her side. Okay, so that is some strong feeling and emotion that actually was slanted language that shows her opinion. So she's a savvy writer. Okay, and you can tell in this paragraph. All right. So in this paragraph, it's the same one. I just put the answers down here of what each of those greens were that you did. Okay, if you want to go back and look at that. Okay, on this slide, I'm not going to do this one with you, but I'd like for you to do this. Could you color code this and label the types of explanations that this writer used? All I want you to do is just do it on your dry erase board or your on your notebook if you want to. You can tell if you're understanding this if you're starting to get the hang of it. Okay. So, what I'd like for you to do is one, see if you can figure out her topic sentence, see if you can figure out where her text evidence is, where is the explain and the conclusion. And then this direction is very important. Label the types of explanations this writer used. In fact, I might go and change this slide and actually color code it for you and see if you can figure out the type of explanations. Okay. All right. Now, when you are drafting today, don't forget that everyone should have 2 pieces of strong text evidence. Required, everyone should have a minimum of 2 sentences of explanation. Your writing challenge is to double stuff your paragraphs with extra pieces of evidence, extra pieces of explanation. And then this is how you double stuff, adding 5 to 6 sentences of just explanation alone. This does not include evidence and topic sentence and link back. Does not include that. I'm just talking about explaining in one paragraph. Okay. And then mega stuff is obviously a little bit more. And remember, this is just for one reason. Okay. But everyone has to have 2 pieces of text evidence in one paragraph. So I know you can do this. Okay, writers, good luck. If you have any questions, you know where you can reach me.